All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. This special edition of Special Dummies Unit.
Right. I guess it's a trial run for us. Yeah, we were
Right.
talking
Look,
about doing
I
this
know.
anyways.
Well, we were talking about the whole conspiracy thing, and this is, to me personally, this is the tip of the iceberg. This is the beginning. This is the beginning of all of the conspiracies, and hopefully by the end of this, you and me, we may have figured out our team dynamics for the conspiracy podcast, which I think that we already really have it. We just got to do it.
Right.
But
Of course we're without David today.
right, David. He's this is also a trial run for you and me, just us. So if you're watching, let me go ahead and fix my settings real quick because
Yeah, I know.
So something's going on with my Facebook every time. All right, let's see here.
Oh yeah, I needed a link as I can't send it out.
Dude, I tried sending the link, and it wouldn't let me. Like, it said there was an error. So I just copied the link and like typed it in like I'm a caveman, just typed it in. And
Well, I can send it this way.
you may be able to copy and paste it.
I'm just sending it to a lot of people on my Facebook. All right, we'll see. Cool, bet.
So all right, like, sorry.
So though y'all tuning in, it is me and Bruce today, y'all, and we are starting our debate. Y'all, Bruce is a flat earther, which is cool. It is what it is. And I am completely circular. Like,
hey, a quarter is round as well.
that's true, but
just gotta, if you'd set it up. All right, so I guess the way we're gonna do this is fact. I'm gonna do air quotes for both of us. Fact versus rebuttal. All right. Is that how I've never? I was telling my wife earlier today. I've never been in a debate in my entire life, and I am the most nervous that I could possibly be.
Yeah, well, and it's crazy. Being on the debate team, like normally it's allotted times, and so it's just who comes up with a better argument. But I like bouncing off of back and forth to each other, especially if we're trying to come to a common ground.
Right.
So I like
well,
that.
I can almost bet by the end of this, for one, we're gonna know each other a lot better, and for two, we're gonna find a lot more common ground than there is, negative ground.
I'm drinking Long Island iced tea, by the way.
What is that cup? It's huge. Oh, dope. Long Island iced tea. I'm drinking an Ultra Fantasy Ruby Red Monster. They're delicious.
Didn't like it. I tried it. It wasn't for me. No.
Well, like the first one, I was like, "Oh, that's kind of weird," and then I got another one, and I was like, "I like it." It's like you try something once, and I try it again.
Wait, no, hold on. That doesn't work for everything.
No, it doesn't work for. It does not work for everything. Okay, so just a little backstory. 7 years ago, I didn't go to math school. I'll be 41 on Saturday. So 7 years ago, I was a globe earther. I believed everything that I was taught in school. When NASA came out with something cool, I was like, "Oh my gosh, space!" I hope my grandkids get to see space because I am too old and probably too poor to take a flight up and see space. So I was 100% a globe earther, and I there was a debate jumping around online. It had fired back up, and it was on the flat Earth. So I was like, "This is silly. This is so silly, guys. We know that the Earth is round. We know that we've seen planets. We've seen pictures. We've seen video. It's round, guys. Stop." So about 3 weeks. So I went into the flat Earth, and I didn't just watch a couple of videos. This is 3 weeks, 21 days. I I did some research. I looked into it. I read articles. I read books. I read informational articles. I read the Antarctic Treaty. I've read a bunch of government documents. Just kind of piling over and just trying to debunk this whole thing so I could one I've done a lot of cool stuff in my life, pinkies up, but I wanted one more just so I could say, guys, I debunked the flat earth. Are all you guys are all dumb. Well, 21 days later, and I'm sitting on the edge of my bed, right? And this was I'd stayed up all night, and I got just a couple hours of sleep, and I woke up probably about 10 minutes before the alarm went off, and I had to go to the bathroom. Went to the bathroom, came back, and sat on the edge of my bed, and I realized, you know, guys, they lied to us. And in my head, I'm thinking, why would they do this? First and foremost, I am a Christian. I believe that I believe in God. I believe Jesus came and died for our sins, and I am a Christian. And So in trying to piece this together, I have my theories on why they would lie to us. Um, but nonetheless, a lie is a lie. So that being said, there's over 200 verses in the Christian Bible that talks about the flat Earth. Now, some don't consider the Bible to be a scientific document, right? They don't even consider it to be a historical document. Uh, Here's some actual scientific observations that I have compiled and that other flat earthers that have more money and more time and more energy to put towards researching this have have compiled. So, to start off, a definition, theory. It is a noun. A theory is an idea that is suggested or presented as possibly true, but that is not known or proven to be true. So, flat Earth theory, definition and words are very important. It in everything, because you say one thing and it means this. If you say another thing, it means that. And somebody hears something and they automatically assume it to be 100% fact. Same thing with, you got to have faith when it comes to this kind of stuff. And you got to you got to have a certain amount of faith in scientists when they tell you that, hey, this is this, we found this out. If you've never seen it for yourself, you have to take it on some kind of a faith that this scientist or this doctor or this whatever isn't just trying to make a buck off you or try to lead you in the wrong direction. So we'll start off with, on a globe model, the Earth has a radius of 3,958.8 miles, meaning the Earth should be dropping away from us an estimated 8 inches per square mile. So every mile that is in front of us, the curvature, how they basically decide what the curvature is, or how they figure out what the curvature is by this model right here. It's 1.23, which is I guess how fast the Earth is moving. it's multiplied by the square root of your eye level, which is roughly 6 foot tall. And then you get as how far to the horizon. That being said, if you do that math equation, it should be 3.01 miles to the horizon. Do you see what I'm saying? Does that make sense? So from where you're standing, if you're standing at sea level, you should be, your horizon line should be 3 miles in front of you. So basically, the human eye can see roughly 3 miles. After that, water vapor, dust particles, all that kind of stuff tends to blur things a little bit. A spherical Earth has a circumference of 25,000 miles, meaning from side to side, side to side, from one side of the Earth to the other, 25,000 miles. The average passenger jet, I guess it's just like a 747, traveling for 1 hour at a typical cruising speed of 500 miles per hour, just to maintain altitude. So to keep their where they're at in the sky, they would constantly have to adjust their altitude downward, an average of 2,789 feet every minute. I've been on a plane before. I don't feel the nose being nose down every minute. If you look out the window, flat. The horizon is flat.
What's up, Fred?
What's going on, man? So, okay. I know that this was just that first part was just kind of leading into the first question that you can rebuttal, I guess. So Earth rotates at 1,038 miles per hour. Earth orbits the sun. What they say, Earth orbits the sun at 66,600 miles per hour, right? So we're spinning at 1,038 miles an hour. The Earth orbits the sun at 66,600 miles per hour. The sun orbits the galaxy at 500,000 miles per hour. And the galaxy speeds through space at 1,300,000 miles per hour. I don't feel movement. How did we measure that? Basically, if you can't feel the movement, how did we measure it?
Let me think about that. Well, for one, we got to talk about gravity, right?
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about gravity. I like that. I love it.
Like, that's why we can't physically feel movement.
What is gravity?
Well, gravity is what keeps us down.
But it doesn't keep bugs down.
So, well, now hold on. Let's backtrack. So,
okay.
You got your introduction. So I'm going to go ahead and throw out my introduction. So, from what I gathered, first of all, the flat Earth was brought up by some guy in UK for one. Two, if you really look at the Flat Earth Society, their whole philosophy to define physics has been everything is a lie. Like, space isn't real. Every picture you see isn't real. Everything that has been brought up to that physics has debunked is just a big lie. Like, that has been basically what I've seen from Flat Earth Society?
Okay,
Is
Flat
that
Earth. Okay, Flat Earth Society. The rebuttal. Flat Earth Society. They were actually created. They were actually created to discredit actual people who believe in the flat Earth. If you look at the Flat Earth Society's webpage or website, there's literally like the snow globe floating in space with all the planets that are around circling around it. No actual believer in the flat Earth believes that the Flat Earth Society is a real organization that was designed to further flat Earth research and to be a legitimate organization. Sam, yes, so much better than the presidential debate.
So what I have to ask you, because we're talking about movement and speed and things like that. So what is your take on the sun?
So, in the Bible, this is going to be a lot of biblical references and stuff like that. So in Genesis, God said He created two lights, one to rule the day and one to rule the night, and He put them in the sky for us to to see and to be able to
You just say two, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So the sun, not 99 whatever million miles away, much closer than that.
And much smaller.
Yeah, absolutely much smaller. Probably, I've seen a lot of different estimates on the actual what the actual size is. General consensus is it's only about 3,000 miles across.
Right.
So that being said, a lot of this comes on faith. So the sun, you've seen those those pictures where the sun's shining through the clouds and it's creating a beam of light, and it's like just shining on one little area. Doing that. What I believe is inside our dome. There is two lights, one to rule the day and one to rule the night. And I will get into yeah. And how they rotate. They rotate in a almost like a figure eight pattern, opposite each other.
Right. And they rotate at the same speed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you can visually
Right.
visually check that by looking at the sun and the moon, how they travel across the sky.
So yeah, I checked that out because when I was doing my research, I was curious about the sun and the moon and how it works. So like on the map, it's smaller, so it's only shining on a little part of the world, and as it's going, so is the other part, right? So I have to ask you, explain to me a solar eclipse, because the flat earthers believe that there's a third sun, and it's called the anti-sun. And if you said that the Bible only mentions two things, I need you to explain to me what a solar eclipse is, if there's only two things that produce light that the Bible says.
All right, sorry, you did a lot of cutting out just now. You're good now. What was
Okay.
I think it was my signal. What was the question?
So the Earth, or the sun in them travels like this. So you said that the Bible only talks about one to control the light, one controlled the evening, right? Flat earthers use solar eclipse as there being a third sun, and it's called the anti-sun. And it's a sporadic sun that moves about, and that's how they use to debunk solar eclipse. If the two things are constantly moving like this, they should never be able to cross in front of each other.
Well, they're not on the same they're not on the same. I guess they're not on the stack. My belief is actually the moon moves a little bit slower than the sun. That's how we get our seasons. When the sun, so summertime, the up because so the flat Earth. If you look at a flat Earth map, the very center, which is north, if you look at a compass, the very center is the North Pole. It's if you look straight up, there's Polaris, the North Star. It's almost dead center of the flat Earth map.
Right.
So if you look at
the southern hemisphere, the southern hemisphere is on the outer part of the Earth, right?
You cut out really bad. I'm really sorry.
The southern hemisphere, that would be on the outskirts.
Okay,
right?
so when it's winter up north, the sun moves out to the southern hemisphere.
Okay. So you're explaining to me about the solar eclipse. Oh, well, that is not what anybody wants to see. Well, anyways, until Bruce gets back, I guess it's just me. The debate argument there is that there should be no physical way that the sun and the moon traveling at the same speed. He believes that they travel at different speeds, which is okay, but then we would have no accurate track of time. Like 7 o'clock one time wouldn't be 7 o'clock the next time. Like, it's not physically possible for them not to travel at the same speed, or there would be no conception of time. We know that 7 o'clock in the winter. Oh, is he back? We know that 7 o'clock in the winter. Oh, is he back? We know that 7 o'clock in the winter. All right, you're back. What's up, bud?
A little bit of a snafu. Internet is acting a damned fool here.
Yeah, so you were talking to me about how you say that the sun and the earth moves at different speeds, right?
Right, sun and the moon. Yep.
So, can you explain?
I think I know what you're going to. Like, it. The sun and the moon were designed so that we could figure out how time works and how one season goes into another season, and if they're not moving at the exact same time, then how would we be able to tell time? Correct?
Right.
Okay. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know anybody that, and that's not a cop out. I can't explain that part, because a lot of the things, just like being a Christian, I believe that God created us, and not just boom, there's man, down to the smallest little detail, the smallest cell, the smallest. I don't know how any of that stuff works.
Right.
But,
and so that's why, you were talking about that's why the cop out for most people, and you actually, I love the road that you took. You're like, I don't have an answer for that. Most of the flat earthers that are like 100% like whatever, they're like, well, there's 3 suns. Like, that's their answer.
No, and I've heard that the third sun being like the black sun. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, I've never seen it. I don't know where it's hiding. I've never seen it. Now, well, unless like for a stretch, I could say, okay, maybe it's behind one of the suns, and then it comes out. I don't know. Like,
right.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of this stuff like I said, I don't buy into that part.
Right, and so that's why I'm glad that we did this, because like there's some things I figured that we would agree on. Like you telling me that there's 3 suns. Well, the flat earthers believe that the government has lied to us, that there is a 3rd sun. And when the solar eclipse happens, we're always taught not to look at it, so we don't actually know. And then they invented these special glasses, so when we look, we actually don't really see
we don't
the sun.
see the other sun. Yeah. So I've actually looked at several eclipses, not for very long, because that shit will give you a headache. Our eyes were not designed to look at that intense amount of rays for very long. But yeah, I don't believe in the dual sun, nonsense.
So the next question.
I didn't go to math school, and I can't math enough to tell how that works. I've seen a couple of diagrams, and I've read a couple of books that describe how the sun and the moon operate together. And a really cool experiment that I'll tell you about in a little bit, that I actually did myself, which was pretty wild. Go ahead, next question.
So you talked about the North Star, right?
Uh-huh.
It is a fact that you cannot see the North Star from the southern hemisphere. It's not, you just can't see it. So if we were on a flat Earth, would you not be able to see that star no matter where it is in the sky? Because it's the dead center. When you travel south, it's gone.
It actually is there. It's just not as bright. I have seen pictures of Polaris from the southern hemisphere, taken from Australia. It's just very, very faint.
Now, because I did research on this today, because you were going to say this, and the scientist dude said, no, you can't. He says it's too far away. Like most people would mistake what they see as Polaris. He said, but you can't see it.
Well, that may be the case. But I love that the scientist said it was too far away, because if you look at the flat Earth model, if you were in Australia, it would be very hard to see certain things.
But how come
given perspective?
How come? So let's go with constellations next, because people in the northern hemisphere does not see the same constellations as the people in the southern hemisphere.
Well, they're the same constellations. They're just you're just seeing them from a different perspective. A lot of the flat Earth principles, they rely heavily on perspective and what our eyes can actually see. It's almost like I'm imagine being in a dark room, right? And there's a light, and it's in the corner to your left. Now, if you move to the opposite corner that you're in, if it's in the corner to your left, if you move into the direct opposite, then that light will be to your right.
Right,
you
but
see what I'm
still
saying?
Be the same
it's all
light.
about, but yeah, it's all about perspective and where you're standing in the room.
But, so let's say, the example would be like, you're in the northern hemisphere, and the Seven Sisters, which is a constellation, it's like 7 stars. It kind of looks like a weird W or a Z thing, right? If I travel all the way down south, the Seven Sisters is gone. Like, that's not perspective. It is just non-existent for you. Like, you would literally have to travel back to see the Seven Sisters because it's gone. Like, it's not even changing directions. It's just not there, because you're going to go down and you're going to see a different set of stars, a different sky. Like, it's almost like a whole complete switch of things that you see from the northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere. Like, it's not even the same thing.
Huh. There was a lot of interference in that there just now, but I think you were pretty much. I believe you were what you were saying was. So you see a constellation like this, when you're somewhere else in the southern hemisphere, it's upside down or it's not even there.
It's gone. Yeah, it's non-existent. You almost see a brand new sky from the northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere. They're not even the same.
Well,
you would see a whole different set of stars and everything.
So
but if you're on a flat Earth, you should be able to see the constellations no matter what. Like I could take a telescope and see that star. But even if you turn your scope, you're still not seeing the southern hemisphere because we're at the top if you're at the north. So somebody with a big-ass telescope still isn't going to be able to see, the southern hemisphere.
Well, I'll have to do some research on that because everything that I've found says the complete opposite. So we'll
put that on the shelf.
Yeah, we'll put that on the shelf. So I went to Iraq for a pretty lengthy time, and I know it's supposed to be on the other side of the earth. And I saw when it was night for me, I saw the exact same stars, only upside down from when I was in, Southern California. And that was back in 2003, 2004. It was a weird observation that I kind of put a pin in, but
that's because that's like the northern lights. Like, wouldn't you be able to see that like everywhere?
No, it's all about perspective and where you're at on the earth. Going forward, I'm just going to call it on the earth because I'm not going to say, it doesn't matter where you're at on the globe, or it doesn't matter where you're at on the flat earth, just earth.
Just earth.
Because again, the flat earth is literally it's a theory. And I gave everybody the definition of a theory. It's an unproven thing. I can say, hey, the reason why the clouds blow west to east and not north to south is because of this. Unless I can prove it, it's just a theory.
Right. So
my dogs are going ham in there.
Do they have ham? Maybe you should throw them some ham.
Oh yeah, that would keep them quiet for a little bit. All right, so since we're going to shelf that constellation thing, I would like to revisit this in our future endeavors. Constellations, for countless, across millennia of recorded history, the stars have been exactly the same. They to this day, you can, if you're on the ocean, you can use the stars to navigate. If we're traveling at if we're spinning at 1,038 miles per hour and orbiting the sun at 66,600 miles per hour and speeding through the sun orbits the galaxy at 500,000, and then the galaxy speeds through space at 1,300,000 miles. And it's not just staying in one place while it does that. I've seen NASA video that says that we're actually in like a corkscrew pattern, traveling. Yeah.
Some video.
Well, it's a CGI video because we'll get into that in a second. But it's like we're corkscrewing through the galaxy or through space at like a bajillion miles per hour. How would those stars have never changed, not even once?
I don't think we leave our constellation. Like, we don't leave the Milky Way.
Well, no, the Milky Way.
I know, but that's
the Milky Way's moving. The Milky Way's moving as well.
Right. So all those stars that you see is in our Milky Way. That's our galaxy. So that's just traveling with us. Like, that doesn't move like away. Like, we're not leaving our galaxy. So like the North Star is in the Milky Way.
Right.
So if it's all traveling, that's why we would always see those stars.
I'm glad you didn't. I'm glad you didn't regurgitate the old adage of the stars that we see in the sky are all dead stars and planets, and because of light years, we're seeing all things that are billions of light years in the past.
Oh yeah, the things that are just catching up to us that are dying. Well,
Right. And like we're sending out we're sending out radio waves to try to talk to alien races that have probably possibly been dead for millennia, and our messages are just now reaching them. Like, sorry guys, no one's home.
Yeah, we done killed the whole Earth. So I gotta ask you: do you believe in aliens?
No, I do not.
Right. Well, I was just saying if you're going to say yes because you don't believe in space.
The reason I do not is because I believe that Earth is a closed system. I believe that anything that is here has been here. In the Bible, again, I'm gonna a lot of my flat Earth is faith based, religious Christianity based. So in the Bible, it talks about the angels that fell to earth, and that mingled with earth women and created giants and stuff. When they were punished, they were sent into the bowels of the earth, and anybody, in my opinion, anybody that tells you there's aliens, they don't know that they're actually demons. It's kind of weird because I love sci-fi movies. I love movies that have to do with space because it's interesting. But now I look at those movies a lot different than I used to.
But you do know that the Bible also talks about the Earth as being round too, right?
Again, I'll did I say this while we were live? A quarter is also round.
Right. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah,
no,
yeah. So, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So a quarter is also round. When you take that round quarter and you lay it flat, it becomes flat. Now, back then in the Bible, they didn't have all these newfangled things and all these things. So when you stepped out of your tent and you looked around 360 degrees or 180, what is it to where it's you just go make a complete circle? If you look at there it is. If you look at the horizon line, it creates a circle of your vision. That being said, round is the shape that you see. So that in my opinion that's where that came from.
So my next question is, so let's say you're in the northern hemisphere, right? And this is going to talk about gravity, the Earth actually being round and spinning, because the only way they say for this to happen is you have to be an actual circle. So if you're in the northern hemisphere, you take a can of paint, you put it on a string, and you swing it, right? Well, it's going to go back and forth, and then it's going to start going circular, right? Now, if you go to the southern hemisphere, now get this, because if we were in one complete just regular orbit, you've got to be able to explain this to me. You swing the same can, it will start going in the reverse direction.
So I think I know where this comes from. There was a study done, the pendulum study. It was done, and they set this thing up to try to be able to detect the movement of the Earth. Well, they started off by moving it, and it did its thing, and then it started rotating one way, and a couple hundred miles to the south they did it again, and it spun the other way. Well, what they determined was that detects Earth's gravity. Well, a couple of years after that, they tried to recreate that study, doing it exactly the way that those guys said it was going to be done. No, sir. No, sir. There's actually over 200 verses that describe the Earth being a flat, level plane. Anyways, so they tried to recreate this, doing exactly the way that those scientists did it, and after a certain amount of time, as soon as it lost its momentum, it stopped spinning altogether and was just straight up and down. It used the momentum of someone pushing it and the direction in which they pushed it to actually create the circular pattern that it was going in. And then after they did that a couple of times, they went and they found the machine, and there was actually a motor in that machine that kept it spinning a certain direction. So in my opinion, it's almost like the magician's trick, where you have a rabbit inside your hat, and like you hold your hand over here, wave it, and do something pretty. And when they're not looking at the hat, they pull the rabbit out and say, "Look, there was a rabbit in the hat the whole time."
All right.
Now it may not be true at all. It may not be true at all, but there's articles written on it. I've looked. I've tried to find an actual repeatable experiment that I can do that would determine the rotation, that could show me the actual rotation of the Earth, and I haven't found one yet. But I can go outside and I can stack up 7 or 8 rocks, and unless the wind's blowing real hard, those bad boys ain't moving.
Okay, so do you know about the Coriolis? The Coriolis, Coriolis. Coriolis force.
Is that thing where, like, if you're in a car and you're driving at 60 miles an hour, you don't feel that you're going 60 miles an hour?
So here's what it says. It acts as a perpendicular to the direction of motion as a spinning mass. Okay? The force leads to cyclones swirling clockwise in the southern hemisphere and counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere through the direction of the wind. It also impacts ocean currents. Are you ready for this? This is why I was doing this research. Long-range military snipers also have to make allowance for the deflection caused by the effect. The only way that this effect can be done is if you are on a spinning globe that is producing gravity. So even long-range snipers have to account for.
I wrote a thing down. Hold on, I gotta find it. Here it is. Okay, so the longest ranged sniper shot in recorded history was 3,800 meters, or 2.361211 miles. The sniper that made the shot said, now this is just hearsay because I read an article that he said he did not observe the curvature of the Earth or the spin of the Earth or anything. In fact, when you're shooting, being in boot camp, they never even teach you one thing about curvature,
Right, but the
or the spin or anything like that.
well, but I don't know, because they said right there that because they're also, and I got more military stuff for you in a minute, but if they were taking the same shot in the northern hemisphere and did the same, you set up everything the same building, the same distance and everything, they would still have to completely change the way that they're looking at it, because of the wind and everything is completely different due to that Corliss force or whatever it's called.
I don't think you butchered it as much as you think you did. I think that's roughly the way it's pronounced. But I can't speak on that, because when I shot, I wasn't like shooting, miles at it. I wasn't shooting miles, but I never, our drill instructors, told us like, these M16s aren't your daddy's shotgun on your farm back home. That Kentucky windage ain't gonna work. Dude, I shot expert. I never accounted for, the aperture on the front or the rear. I never changed that and shot expert. So I can't really speak on that. And I can honestly say, sniper shooting has never been one of the things that's come up in my my research.
All right, next, I got to ask you, Bruce, about the ice.
Ice?
The ice baby. So, do you believe that the Earth is encased by ice?
A closed system. Well, not encased, just surrounded. So, if you were to travel to Antarctica.
Now, do you believe, now let's get this right, do you believe Antarctica exists? Because the conspiracy is that from the other flat earthers, that Antarctica doesn't exist and that it's government made to keep you from thinking about climbing the ice.
All right, so no, I do believe that there is Antarctica. I just believe that, and this was actually done by a sailing vessel a lot of years ago. So the Antarctica coast, the Great Ice Wall. So all the way around. Besides, there's a couple of islands that you can actually go to, but that's as far as you're allowed to go because of the Antarctica Treaty. So all the way around, 150 feet tall. There's plenty of pictures and videos of boats traveling up to the coast, which is 150 feet tall, and you'll see helicopters taking off from the boat to drop people on the shore. So what I believe is that there is, I can't give an exact number because I'm not 100% certain. But from the coast, let's just I'll just throw out a number. It's going to sound goofy, but I'll just throw out a number. Let's say 500 miles. So 500 miles is like from my house to like Texarkana, which is a pretty good distance. So that being said, if from the coast to the base of the dome, it's 500 miles. In negative 57 or below weather, there's no way you're surviving without extensive knowledge in cold weather training and gear. You have to be completely like heat suited out. So where was I at? So yeah, the average temperature is negative 57 degrees. That's freaking cold. And the human body, and you could tell because there's not a whole lot of people there's not a large number of people that live in the northern hemisphere past a certain point, because it's just too cold. I mean, there's some people that have adapted to their surroundings, and there are people that live up there, but after a certain point, it's like nothing can survive here.
Right. I mean, I agree with that regardless of being enclosed in ice. Like, at some point, it's so damn cold that nothing's going to live.
Right.
But, so, how do you explain beaches? Like, beaches. Where's that water? Yeah. Like, where's the water from the ocean coming?
It's just here.
I mean, is it coming from the water that's surrounding everything in that frozen ass temperature?
Now back to the Bible. God said when he flooded the earth that, the Bible says that they opened up gates below and above and let water in. Right. That being said, I believe that this is a closed system. I believe that there are no resources that are going to completely go away. Right. Oil, when we were growing up, oil was crushed up dinosaurs. It's not fossil fuel. It's actually plant. It's a plant-based.
Right.
It's plant-based, and I don't believe that there's a finite supply of oil, and once we use it up, we just won't have any more.
Right.
I believe that God put us here and put us in a position to where a lot of the things that we use, so to speak.
Well, I was more referring to the temperature of the water, because all the oceans run together, right? Arctic, Pacific, Atlantic. But if everything is just surrounded by ice, I need you to explain to me how we got warm water, because that shit should be cold everywhere.
All right, you got to say that one more time. You cut out really bad.
If everything is surrounded by cold water, like you got the Arctic Ocean, right? Like, there's no doubt about it. All the oceans run together. Obviously, the southern hemisphere, it's warmer. That's why that water doesn't freeze, right? So I need you to explain to me about water temperature, and he's gone again. Bruce, come back. Well, that's interesting. So anyways, what I was going with that, y'all, is if everything is surrounded by cold water, I need to explain how the water warms up in the northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. Completely different waters. Oh my God. Oh. Dalton, listen, you can't put live and then counter with life. That's why you're a Dallas Cowboy fan. Lord baby Jesus. All right, well, you also said there's some people in the comments here. I'll wait for Bruce to get back. Y'all, we're going to try doing this more. Y'all throw out some ideas on other things that we should debate. I think most of the time that me and Bruce is pretty well on the conspiracy theory list together. Titanic, faking the moon landing, things like that. So yeah, y'all go ahead and throw out some ideas. Let's.
Gosh dang it. All right, I'm back.
Good. It's what sucks is that it zooms in on my face. Like I can't fix it either. I'm just like, oh God, poor people have to see me.
So, sorry, what was
water temperature? I need you to explain water temperature for me.
Okay, water temperature. Man, it's the same as the electric fence that's around a certain a certain fence to keep animals in. The further south you go, the further you get to the base of the dome, so to speak. It gets colder. colder to the point that if you're in it for longer than a couple of seconds, you'll die. Same goes for the magnetic north. There's certain things that that are alluded to that are we're not supposed to see, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Air quotations. There's certain things that were set up long before we were created that we're not supposed to see until a certain time, or we're never supposed to see. And
right,
that.
But you didn't get the full answer there, Bruce, because you can go south, boom, warm water all the way, bud, south, boom, until you get all the way back to the top around Antarctica.
Oh, the top's not. That's supposedly the bottom.
So if you're traveling in warm water, you get all the way to the top, and then you get cold water. Complete separation, like it's night and day. Like
right.
Everything up at top is cold, everything down is hot. But if we're surrounded by freezing water, then there should not be any warm water. Like everything everywhere should be freezing until you get close to land in the southern hemisphere. Like if you go up to Canada, that water up there is fucking cold. I can go down to Florida and that water's hot. Where's the separation if we're just if it's everything's surrounded by ice? Like, why is that water so different?
And this is where I differ than most people. When I believe that when we were created to be in a certain area. The areas that are off limits, like I said before, those areas are designed to keep the human body away from them. So when you go all the way to the south, so on a compass, magnetic north, doesn't matter where you are, it will always point to magnetic north. So that when I say south, I mean away from the North Pole, away from the center in my map. So that being said, the further out you get, when you get to the ice, the thing that is keeping us in here, so to speak, that's designed to keep us away from the dome. I believe that it was just made that way. It was made that way to be colder so that we wouldn't be curious, because we are curious. I mean, the things that we have supposedly done are, astronomical. The human species in itself is a curious thing.
All right, now we're going
if I didn't, okay, real quick, I want to say one more thing about the ice wall in Antarctica.
Got it.
So I know it was several years removed from when this happened, but in 1863, the 1860s to the 1870s, it was like 68 to 73 or something like that. This British ship called the Challenger, it took them over 3.5 years to circumnavigate Antarctica. They logged in 68,890 nautical miles, and this was strictly keeping the coast on their port side, which is the right side, and going around around Antarctica supposedly, which is if you remember back to where I said the circumference of the Earth is 25,000 miles.
Okay.
So they didn't circumnavigate it 3 or 4 times. They circumnavigated it one time and logged in 68,890 nautical miles.
Right, but you also got to take into account there's a difference between walking in a straight line and walking in a jagged line. Like, that coast isn't completely straight. Like,
No, it's not. No, and I get that. I do get that. But I mean, and you're supposedly in the southern hemisphere, so you're not really going the full circumference of the Earth. You're really going a shorter distance, because if you look at a globe map, it's a lot skinnier down here than it is at the equator.
So let me ask you this, because I'm glad, like, this actually works in segment perfect to what I was going to ask you about, and it's going to be airplanes. All right, on the flat Earth map, Bruce, can you tell me what the 2 farthest points is on the flat Earth map?
The 2 farthest points.
The 2 farthest points. Like, if you were traveling from a plane, what would be the 2 farthest points on a flat Earth map? And it's actually Santiago to Sydney, Australia, is the longest 2 points on a map, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say South America to Australia. Right. Yeah.
So if you, on a flat Earth, if you fly a plane that far on there, it should take you 7 hours.
Okay.
That flight takes 14 hours because we're curved. Unless that plane is just taking detours and fucking with people. So
they do.
This is where I go back to the conspiracy theories.
Right. They do detour. If you look, there's an app that you can get that can track all the flight patterns. There are very, 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 very few flight patterns in the southern hemisphere at all. A flight from Santiago to Sydney, it goes all the way over.
If you took the same path, the distance. So the next comparison to that would be if you took a plane from New York to London. That is the same exact distance on a flat Earth map. It's a 7-hour flight. That's a direct path. You take that same flight from Santiago to Sydney on a globe, it is curved. That's why that takes a 14-hour flight. Unless, like everybody says, that the planes are just circling to make you think that we're going in a circle, it's a lot longer.
I don't believe they actually circle. I believe they divert to make it more of a straight line. It's like if you're flying from like Japan to let's say, Seattle, Washington. If you had to divert the plane, in fact, this actually happened. A woman was pregnant on a plane, and they diverted to Anchorage, Alaska, when it was closer to fly to straight through.
But this is just a direct flight. If you left from Santiago to Sydney, it's a 14-hour flight. Straight there.
There's no such thing as straight flights.
Right, because we live on the curve.
You cannot book a straight flight.
Well, this was mathematically
hypothetically. I get that. Hypothetically, yes. But that's the thing. You could never ever they won't do it.
Well, I know that, but I'm saying, like, if it could, but I want you to explain to me how that same flight, if you take out, all the detours and stuff, from London to New York, 7 hours, from Sydney, Australia to Santiago, the same exact distance on a map, 14 hours.
Well, if you look at the I will say it, if you look at the flat Earth map, they're the furthest distance apart, so I could see how they would be a 14-hour flight.
But if you take that same flight on a flat Earth, that's a 7-hour flight.
Right.
Because that's the same distance from London to New York. But in real life, that's a 14-hour flight.
Right, but if you look at the flat Earth map, that's not the same distance from London to New York.
It is. That's why I did that research, because that's what I wanted to give you that example to see if you could debunk that. But yes, this on the map from distance-wise, from on the globe, because obviously the globe is condensed on a round, right? So you're not actually seeing the full spread of the Earth on a globe. So
Right.
in an actual distance, it's the same exact distance from on a flat Earth map to the globe. They're the same exact.
I will again. I'll have to look into that one because I don't have an answer other than that's with taking those with taking the detours and the layovers and all that stuff out and the refueling. I really don't have an answer for that. I didn't think that on an FE map that they were the same distance. Couldn't debunk it.
Okay. We covered that. All right. You got anything? I have one more thing.
Go ahead. I've got a few things that. Okay. I'll go ahead and do my actual things that I've done that confirm to me that the Earth is flat.
Yeah, I'm actually curious about this.
So, I used to be an oil tech, and I used to have a I used to have a I still have it, but it was a laser thermometer. And man, you could on a hot day you could put that outside, and dude, the pavement would be 117, 120 degrees. Inside it would be a different temperature. So it was fairly accurate. And what I used it for was to just kind of gauge the oil pan. I think I'm about to cut out because my signal is really low.
No.
Okay, we still here?
Yes, we're good. You
awesome.
were saved.
Awesome.
So right now I have laser thermometer, and I heard something about an oil pan. That's
okay. Yeah.
So right
okay. So I would use that laser thermometer to gauge how hot the oil pan was that I was about to touch. Okay. So I took that, and this is something that I did probably week 2. Remember I said, well, even the Bible says God created 2 lights, one to rule the day and one to rule the night. So I actually did this. Experiment where in the daytime, same exact place, I shined the laser thermometer on the pavement, and then got the temperature for that on the pavement, in the light, in the sun. Then I did the same thing, but in a shaded area, like under. I think we had at the time in my front yard, we had a barbecue grill, and it at a certain part of the day, it created a pretty good shade. So from the sunlight to the shade, there was a couple of degrees temperature drop. So if I went from the shade to the sun, it would go up in temperature, obviously, because the sun was directly contacting the the surface. So one night I did the experiment in the day. I wrote down the temperature and the temperature, right? So nighttime, same exact situation. I shined the light on the pavement that the moonlight was touching. And then I shine the light in the shadow. The temperature was actually colder where the moonlight was touching than in the shadow where the moonlight wasn't touching. So that, for me, if it kind of makes sense, if you see where I'm going with this, the moon actually gives off its own light. It's a cold light, but it's still a light. Have you noticed how this is something that I was like, well, okay, supernatural God woo woo explanation or scientific explanation. It could be either one. Scientifically speaking, the air particles move around and let the heat expel from the earth at night, which makes it colder. Or God created a light for the day and one for the night. So for me, that kind of reaffirmed my my theory, or at least it helped me along when I actually did that myself. Another experiment that I've done myself was the standing on a beach with with a ship out in the ocean. As you're looking at the ship, it's looking like it's disappearing. But you take a pair of binoculars and you put them to your eyes, and it's right in the same spot and level. All of that curvature disappears. What that has to do with, like I said before, with the water vapor and the dust vapor in the cloud in the air, and our eyes only being really able to see up to 3 miles.
So you think when the object, so what my last argument was is, oh shit, dropped my phone.
Oh damn.
So this captain in the army was, yeah, this is one of the things I read about. Because we were talking about the distance thing, right? Let me find the story here. This is actually pretty interesting. Oh, nope, that's not it. Bruce, I think this went really well.
Absolutely. I'm feeling really good about this.
Oh, where's Did you know I didn't even know that there was a presidential debate until earlier?
I heard about it. I like listening to Steven Crowder, and I like when they do their debate live streams, because they do live fact checking for both parties, and now I will also listen to other debate, live debate streams, just so that I'm not like in an echo chamber, like one-sided view, because the Louder with Crowder show, it definitely leans heavily towards the right. But I'll probably listen to it tomorrow, maybe.
All right, so you were talking about something like this. This is from a distance.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, dude, perfect. Perfect.
So I knew it. So,
dude, you know how far that is?
This photo was taken from Mount Baldley in Indiana National Park.
Yeah.
That is on the southeast coast of Lake Michigan.
Yeah, you know how far that is, dude? Now,
the reason that happens, I mean, if you're going to take it into account, because this was one of the arguments. For example, let's say the sun beats down on a black road in a hot summer day, right? The warm ground heats up the bottom, a few centimeters of air, reflecting sunlight up to your eyes. You can see that. Like, you can see the heat coming off of that, right?
Right.
as a distance, when the coming off the water mixing with the heat, the light bends towards the denser air, which allows you to see those objects farther than you normally would, and it all has to do with the air. This captain put a camera on a Falcon and had him fly away from a far off building. And of course, as the eagle was flying away, as it was moving, you would lose the thing. Like if we were on a flat Earth, you would be able to see that for miles. But as you get farther away, the object disappears.
It's perspective again. You saying that it's like
but
it's like you're standing on a street and you see the street lights. That street light that you see farthest away isn't that big. It's the same size as the one you're standing right beside. You just see it differently because of perspective.
Okay, but so let's say, based off of, let's say that you lived in the very bottom southern hemisphere, right? It's a telescope. I don't care. The biggest telescope is not going to be able to see your house. Why? It's not because it's too far away, but because the curvature of Earth doesn't allow you to see it. If that's the case, you should be able to see clear across one side of the Earth to the other with the most powerful telescope.
Has anybody ever done that?
Don't know. If you don't believe space is real, then we don't know. We don't know what we're seeing. Because the telescopes can see up, but you can't see straight.
Why not?
Because of the bend of the Earth.
I think to shut the whole thing down, the whole flat Earth debate down, I would need, and it seems like it's changing the subject, but it's kind of not. So what I would need to see Earth rotating from space from a completely uninterrupted live feed, and I've never seen that before in my life.
I don't know.
Like the whole debate of, we went to the moon, we didn't go to the moon. One thing that, something that came out in 2020 kind of quietly, they just kind of quiet released it. Because there was something crazier going on in the world in that year. The moon is actually in Earth's orbit or Earth's atmosphere. NASA actually came out and said the moon is actually in Earth's atmosphere. So back to the curvature thing. So I've got a couple of examples, and these are things that you could look up. So there's this thing called the modus tollens. I probably butchered that. It's a rule of logic that states if a conditional statement is accepted, then and the consequence does not hold, then the negative of the antecedent can be inferred. Basically, if P, then Q. If no P, then no Q. So the Earth has a circumference of 24,902 miles. Then there must be a measurable 781 meters, which is 250 or 2,562.34 feet of vertical drop for every 100 kilometers or 62.1371 miles section of Earth. All right. The Salar de Uyuni, it's a Bolivian salt flat. It's 62 miles with only an average vertical drop of less than 1 meter. That's 62 miles. and it has a average vertical drop of less than 1 meter. 1 meter equals 3.2808 feet. So what I read before is with a circumference of 24,902 miles, there must be a measurable vertical drop of 2,562.34 feet over every 100 kilometers, which is 62 miles. So every 62 miles, there should be a noticeable vertical drop of 2,562.34 miles or feet. Now, those salt flats in Bolivia, they are roughly 62 miles, and they only have an average of less than 1 meter of vertical relief over an area of 9,000 kilometers squared. No curvature. Now the Paglio Orba.
Right, but what height are they looking at them at? Like shit, I can see forever if I'm at a high enough point.
No, it's at it. This was done at 6 feet. So the average human height is 6 foot. I guess they've determined that over years of averages and did the average, the 6 foot height. Because a weird thing that happens on a globe Earth with the curvature, you would have to rise to the horizon. When you looked at the horizon, it would always be below you. But on the flat Earth model, the horizon always rises to eye level, no matter how high you get. So that's why when you're in an airplane and you look out the window, you see that horizon right at your eye level. The Suez Canal, it joins the Red Sea with the Mediterranean. It's about 100 miles long. It forms a straight and level surface of water from one end to the other. No allowance for any supposed curvature was made in its construction. You can go there. You could go there right now, and you could look at pictures from however high you want. I'm sure they have pictures of all the different heights. There's not one stitch of curve.
Right. It's not based off of when they're making it for curvature.
No, because if you were an engineer, you would know that when you lay a railroad track, when you lay a road, when you're making a bridge, you're taught to not even factor in a curvature.
Right. Well, because it's so minute that it doesn't affect us. That's why it doesn't happen until you get so far away.
The thing about it is it does happen because they have created a math equation to accurately on a piece of paper to accurately predict the curvature of the Earth. Except for it doesn't work. I mean, it does work because you can say 1 + 1 is 2, and you could see that it's 2, but there should be every 3 miles, there should be at least 8 inches per square mile of curvature. So every 3 miles, boom, there's 8 inches of drop. There's 8 inches of drop. There's 8 inches of drop, so on and so forth. So if I'm making a 50 mile, like, don't get me wrong, like, I'm not saying that the Earth is completely flat and there's no mountains or there's no hills and valleys and whatnot. I'm saying on a grander scale. So what I wrote here is basic geometry kills the ball Earth. Because that's that math equation where it's 1.23 multiplied by the square root of 6 foot equals 3.01. That tells you that to the horizon line, is 3 foot or 3 miles, then there should be a drop, a noticeable drop in the for the curvature. There isn't one. See, a lot of these things that I was researching, it was the whole modus tollens thing where,
Yeah.
if P then Q, if no P then it can't be Q. So, I said, okay, the flat earth or the ball earth, the globe earth, it says for every 3 miles there should be an 8-inch drop. It's and if there's not a drop every 3 miles, then the earth can't be round, because we've been on this earth for how long? And if their math doesn't math, then then what shape of the earth do we live on?
I had a whole. I didn't know you were going to bring that up. Like, I actually had a whole thing.
Sorry.
No, it's cool. No, like, I had a whole thing about that. Like, there's a whole thing that debunks that whole curvature thing, because the higher up you go, the farther out you actually see the curvature of the earth.
Have you?
And before we couldn't get that high, So that's why that dude with that hawk that put the camera on, flying out there, you can see forever, and you can see, things curving in the distance. Like, you're not going to be able to know it just by walking and things. I just don't understand. Like, if you're walking down the street, that building is going to start disappearing.
No, it really won't. It really won't. It's all about perspective. It's the same. It's the same thing with the. Hold on a second. It's the same thing with the light post analogy. You're standing by a light post that's 10 feet tall. If you look a mile away and you see a straight path of light poles, that light post at the end is going to be this tall. What is that?
So that's a diagram if you're looking at something straight.
Okay. I guess I'm not getting that. What is it saying?
It says, notice the light from the top. If we were on a flat earth, you would be able to see the whole entire building. Right?
I don't believe that you would.
If you are farther away, you're not going to see that whole entire building. Like, if you were in a straight line,
until you put the binoculars on that extends your field extends your field of vision.
So, at what point do those binoculars not work?
Whatever the magnification rate is.
Okay,
I mean,
so
I guess we could design an experiment.
This is where we're going to. I think we should end that here, because this is one thing I think that me and you are going to go in a circle about, is being able to see something from a distance that if you were in a straight line, you could be able to see forever, that you can't see on a circle. Right?
Well, a lot of the I don't know, because I think again, like, the human eye is only designed to see a certain distance, and after that everything starts to blur.
So let me ask you,
that blur that you see on a hot day on a pavement, that's going to start affecting your field of vision.
So if I gave you the most powerful telescope and I stood you on a high level, you should be able to take that telescope and be able to see the Egyptian pyramids.
In theory, yes.
But you can't.
Because they won't. There's nothing that's designed to be able to do that.
I mean, a space telescope, if you believe that those exist, but you don't. Oh,
no. I believe that the telescopes exist. I just don't believe that what we're looking at is real.
So you think that you could take that telescope and be able to see the pyramids all the way across the map?
I strongly believe that is a yes.
Okay.
But that right there is saying that I have all of the tools that I need to be able to do that, which basically just means all I need to do is crank that son of a bitch down and point it at Egypt.
And you should be able to see it. I got you. That's what I wanted to know.
Well, I mean, and I say that because if you look at the distance that these telescopes are looking into space and seeing these things,
you would be able to see it on a flat Earth. It should
be the same. On a flat Earth, it should be the same.
I got you. All right, that's just what I wanted to know.
But then that goes back to the conspiracy that they won't let us.
And as of right now, we don't know.
Right. There was no way of knowing.
So
this is really good. I'm glad you didn't shut it down.
I'm glad that we came to
I don't think we're at an impasse though.
Like what do you mean?
I don't. Well, I thought you thought we were at an impasse and we couldn't get around that question. No, I strongly believe. I strongly believe if I had a telescope that and free reign to use it, man, I'd crank that son of a bitch down to Egypt and I'd be like, Roland, look.
I mean, that's what I wanted. Like that's what I just wanted to. That's how I know that you 100% believe by what you stand. I'll get back with you on that other thing about the curvature. I just know, based off of what we've been told, that you can't see anything from the northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere because of curve. Like you just can't do it.
Right.
That's what.
But there. If you look at the actual science behind it, there's no detectable curve. Like either A, the Earth is round and it's a lot bigger than what they claim it is. If that's the case, why are people paying millions of dollars for houses in California?
That's because we're stupid. Can we agree?
Well, I agree. I agree. If the Earth is a lot bigger than what they're telling us, we should all be living on this place tax free. We shouldn't be paying for a place that we were born into. I don't know why people pay taxes on this planet. It's dumb.
Bruce, that's a whole nother.
It's a whole nother episode. Taxes.
Right, so let's agree.
Anyways,
let's finish it up with this. So some things that we agree on. One, that there's not three suns.
Oh, absolutely not. I think that's the silliest. I think that's the silliest bullshit I've ever heard.
Two, if you get to the edge of the ice, there's not people there waiting for you that are going to arrest you and put you in jail forever.
Well, okay. Now the Antarctic Treaty. You have to. So that treaty was signed into law December 1st, 1959. At that time, there was 12 countries whose scientists had been active in and around Antarctica during the International Geophysical Year of 1957 and 1958. So they all signed a treaty saying that they would only use Antarctica for scientific research and the furtherment of man, and they wouldn't use it to try to take over the world. So right now, the treaty represents 56 countries, which is 2/3 of the human population, and the only place average humans are permitted to explore are the South Shetland and South Orkney Islands. No inland exploration is permitted at all. If you want to explore the inland, you have to get at least I think you have to get a permit signed by over half of the countries that are with that treaty if you want to go do research. And even then, you're only allowed to research in a certain spot.
But you don't think that's. Do you think that's because the government don't want you to discover that we live in a dome?
I believe that the answer to that kind of lies in the first thing that I said. Like after 3 weeks, I sat on the edge of my bed and I realized that we were lied to. I believe that we are being. I believe that we are being lied to, and I believe for a certain reason. And if you want me to tell you what that is, I will. Uh, all of the 3 people watching will think I'm a complete psychopath, but I will elaborate if you'd like.
Bruce, I will not look at you any less different than
Then you.
Go ahead. Lay it on me, man.
Okay, so as a Christian, we believe that God created us. Uh, our Creator created us and put us in a paradise, so to speak, so that we can live almost like a game preserve. You know what I'm saying? Almost like cattle in a fence, except for he doesn't like eat us that we know of. But anyways, so like I was saying, we are divinely created. We have a purpose. We have a reason for being. We were created to worship God and to grow spiritually. If there is a wall and the government knows about it and we don't, I feel like they lied to us to take us away from God. I believe if there's a dome, it will do the only thing it will do is reaffirm to the entire world that we were created by an all powerful, almighty, omnipresent God. And globe Earth, what it does is it makes us an insignificant accident. If there's one Earth on the globe, if there's one globe Earth, there's a bajillion globe Earths that have the potential to have life on them that thrives the same as it does on this Earth. That being said, if they are out there, if this is a globe, then we are an insignificant accident, and there's nothing more. There's nothing more to us than being an accident. But if there is a flat Earth and there is a dome, we are meant for something greater. And I feel like that was the lie. And I feel like that lie is the tip of the spear of all the lies that came after that.
And you know what? I will not even debate that because that's what you believe.
I don't believe that we're an insignificant accident. There's good people on this planet. There's bad people on this planet. There's in between people on this planet. Up until a couple of years ago, I just knew that there was a guy named Roland that David was really good friends with. Fast forward almost a year. We've never met in person, but I'm super glad that I know you, and I'm thankful for David introducing us. And I believe that we were created for something more. So if the Earth isn't flat, then I'm wrong and I lose nothing. It's almost like the debate on whether or not you believe in God or not. If God doesn't exist, then if I die, nothing happens. But if God does exist, and I don't believe in him and I die, I lose everything.
I would like to have that conversation with you one day. I think we agree,
yeah.
But we disagree on certain things, and that's cool because there's two things that I normally don't debate with people, and that's religion and politics.
Well, I don't.
But and I don't even call it debating. Like when
I don't. Go ahead.
When I'm talking with if me and you had that conversation, it wouldn't be debating because I love to know other people's beliefs.
Right. I'm the same way.
some people take it to the extreme, and I'm like, this is why I don't have these conversations with people.
Right. And I've been tricked into having those conversations before.
I got tricked by a guy. I got tricked by a guy outside of Walmart with this.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, do you believe in God? And I was like, man, I don't have this talk with people, dude. Like, it's not for me. And then I told him how I felt, and he was like, "Oh, you piece of shit, you're going to hell." And I'm like, okay.
I am a Christian. I have some off the wall beliefs about that as well. I wouldn't consider myself a traditional Christian in the same light as you would see, like, people like browbeating you with Bible verses and the, you're holier than thou. I believe that man is flawed. I believe that you get enough men together and eventually evil shit's gonna happen. And not just men, because women can be a part of it too. But I strongly feel like the church that was established has kind of been bastardized over the centuries. So
let's hold on to that.
Yeah. Please. Oh, for sure. Yeah, we'll have this. I would like to do this in person too, because it's so much better. I always take this Bible verse and I say it. And this is not. I just want to put this out there. This isn't Special Dummies unit is turned into Christian Chat Radio. We just this is just getting to know both of us. I always say there's a verse in the Bible that says and God said, when two or more are gathered in my name, I am with thee. I feel it right now. Actually, it's really weird. Like, the hairs on the back of my neck are standing up. I've always equated that to God's presence.
And if anybody comes back and they watch this, y'all listen. It's a great thing about people is that you can choose to be who you want to be. You can get mad about people having their different opinions and things like that, but it's how you react which makes a difference in life. Like, I don't agree with Bruce and his flat earth, but that doesn't mean he's a piece of shit. Like people who believe in God don't believe in God. That doesn't make you an asshole. That just makes you have different opinions and things.
Right. And can you imagine, I believe that God created us all different and exactly the same. Can you imagine if all of our differences, we woke up one day and everybody was exactly the same?
Oh, did he get back?
And I am.
Okay.
I think it would be miserable. What was the last part you guys heard?
You're cutting out a kid.
Shit.
You want to cut the last words?
Yeah. Let's go ahead and do that. This effing internet, man, it's garbage. Anyways, oh man, shit. We got to do round 2. We didn't even get to satellites. Crap. Round 2 coming soon.
You want to start or I'll start? I'll start. All right, everyone. Thank you for watching the show today, guys. I know it was way different than usual. This was a test run for me and Bruce. It was really cool to talk with you and get to know your perspective on something different.
I think this went really, really well. Like, gosh dang it.
Y'all, and if you tune in and watch later, like I said just a second ago, it's okay to have differences. It's okay to talk about differences. How you handle them is what makes you who you are and defines who you are in the moment.
Right. Hey, if you guys are going to roast me on the interwebs, be sure to make it shareable so I can share it too, because that shit's hilarious.
Y'all have a good night.
Absolutely. Love y'all guys. We're gonna go ahead and sign off.